Do you know anyone who suffers from heartburn or takes acid blockers on a regular basis? Well, you might want to watch this video. I'm Dr. Patty Barch. I'm a traditional naturopath and the owner of Naturally Unbridled Wellness, a holistic therapy center in Onalaska, Wisconsin. The information presented here is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prescribe for any disease or condition. Please consult your preferred healthcare provider, elected official, or major media outlet when making wellness choices. So let's talk about heartburn, and let's talk about what it is, what the treatments are, and what you can do to naturally return your body back to balance. So first of all, what is heartburn? So heartburn is really just a term that kind of covers a few different types of issues. But in general, the stomach is involved, and there's a little bit of reflux, regurgitation, or irritation in the esophagus because of what's happening or not happening in the stomach. And so sometimes there's a little bit of a burning sensation, and because your esophagus runs behind your heart or behind your breastbone, people gave it the term heartburn, but the heart is actually not involved. So what most people think heartburn is that you have too much stomach acid, and that's exceptionally rare. Okay, read that again. It's exceptionally rare to make too much stomach acid because your body uses a ton of energy to make stomach acid, which is like Ph.D. Like you have to break hydrogen bonds, free up hydrogen ions, put those together with chloride ions, make the hydrochloric acid to help to chemically break down your food. So when you have heartburn, people think there's too much acid in my stomach, so they try to shut it down with acid blockers. So the first thing I want to do is read to you a little bit about these acid blocking drugs that are commonly prescribed and that many people have taken for decades. This is a problem because when you read on the drug websites that are up here with all of the information on the different drugs, the contraindications, the risks, the warnings, the drug interactions, all the things that a person should read about before putting a drug either over the counter or prescription drug in their body, should know these things. So I like to use RX for prescription, rxlist.com, but drugs.com is up there, and pretty much if you just type in side effects of and the name of the drug, you're gonna find stuff. But I wanted to read you a few things. So one of the things is that these drugs are not recommended for more than 12 weeks, typically by the manufacturer, by the FDA. Typically, they recommend 4 to 8 weeks. And if people are still having issues after 8 weeks, they say, well, you could do another 4 weeks. So that's 12 weeks max that these are approved for. And keep in mind that they use these with newborns now, okay? So 4 to 8 weeks typically recommended, up to 12 weeks, but we see people taking them for decades. First note. Second note, Prilosec or omeprazole or Pepcid or any of these acid blocking drugs indicated for treatment of heartburn and other symptoms associated with GERD in pediatric patients or adult for, again, up to 4 weeks. So you can read all about that on the website. So some possible side effects: severe stomach pain, diarrhea, pain in the wrist, thigh, hip, or back, seizures, little or no urination. It can actually cause nephritis, which is kidney inflammation, blood in the urine, swelling, rapid weight gain, dizziness, irregular heartbeats, feeling jittery, muscle cramps, spasms, cough, choking feeling, joint pain, skin rash, etc. And then I'm just going to go through this partial list really quickly of some of the other side effects for using these acid blocking drugs. So cardiovascular, such as chest pain, heart pain, arrhythmias, heart palpitations. Under endocrine, they have gynecomastia. That's when you get breast development in people who should not have breasts naturally. In the gastrointestinal system, pancreatitis, in parentheses, some fatal, anorexia, irritable bowel, fecal discoloration, candida overgrowth, mucosal atrophy, blah, 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 liver issues, infection issues, including C. diff, which is like turbodiarrhea. That is like a problem for a lot of people. Hypoglycemia, hypomagnesium, hypocalcemia, kalemia, natremia. This means malabsorption. Okay, I'm not going to read all of these, but this is what's happening. So people take these acid blocking drugs and they shut down their stomach's ability to chemically digest food, which leads to malabsorption and malnutrition and improper issues going through the digestive tract, so that you may end up with some constipation, you may end up with diarrhea, gas, bloating, foul smelling gas, etc. So here's the thing that I have found in practice to be the biggest help in getting people who have been suffering with heartburn to overcome them. And the biggest thing that has worked for countless clients is actually sending them to the chiropractor for stomach adjustments. Here's why. So stomach sits up in the body cavity, and it's kind of a little bit of a one-sided organ, and it can get tipped in the body cavity so that it's not sitting there in the body cavity appropriately or the way it's supposed to. So the little sphincter that's at the top of the stomach and the bottom of the esophagus, that sphincter gets torqued a little bit, so it can't close all the way. So then what happens, because that sphincter is supposed to close so that chemical digestion can go on in the body, in the stomach, so that if that sphincter is torqued a little bit and it's open a little bit, you can get a little bit of reflux, regurgitation, or even just fumes from the stomach that are going up the esophagus and causing some irritation, which can lead to esophagitis or Barrett's esophagus, like that sort of thing. So no supplement in the world, no medication in the world will put your stomach back where it belongs and make that sphincter muscle close tightly so that you're not getting any kind of reflux or fumes or anything that are irritating your esophagus. So I have found in practice that what we need to do is we need to send people to a specially trained chiropractor who's literally trained in abdominal adjustments. So if you already have a chiropractor, I recommend asking them, because sometimes you've never mentioned your heartburn because you just think about them and your spine. But you should mention your heartburn. You should ask them if they're trained in stomach adjustments. Many are, but some are not. And sometimes the ones who are not will say things like, oh, I'll just adjust your spine and then your body will do what it's supposed to do. Sorry, not gonna work. So if your chiropractor doesn't do stomach adjustments, find one that does. If you're local, I can refer you. We have a handful of people in the area that I know that do stomach adjustments. So what they do is you're laying on your back, they get up under your rib cage, they feel for your stomach, and they pull it down into so that it's level, so it's not stuck. My husband actually started developing heartburn after jumping down from a tractor, and just that enough of a jostle torqued his stomach enough that he started having some reflux, and so we sent him to the chiropractor. He got that fixed like that. I've had clients over the years that they're like, I've been working with them for years and they never had heartburn before, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, hey Patty, what do you have for heartburn? I'm like, you don't have heartburn. We've been working together for a year. You've never had heartburn. I sent them to the chiropractor. Sure enough, their stomach was out of alignment. Once we get the chiropractor to put the stomach back where it belongs, then we can repair the stomach, because it's going to have some damage from not being appropriately positioned, because actually you have different parts of your stomach. Some have different kinds of linings, some have different kind of secretions, and we need everything to be balanced. So we will repair the stomach and will support digestion. Now, you should not stop acid blocking drugs cold turkey. If you want to read more about transitioning off of acid blocking drugs, you can go to naturallyunbridled.com, click on the articles tab, and you can just type in acid. I have, I think, at least 2 or 3 articles on stomach acid and what you can do to transition off of those acid blocking drugs. So malabsorption and malnutrition are huge problems with these acid blocking drugs. And so this is one of the reasons why I kind of freak out when people give it to infants who really, that sphincter muscle just hasn't developed enough on them, and they're puking and spitting up quite a bit. But moving forward, what we find is most people actually need to add stomach acid, especially the older you get, because again, it takes a lot of cellular energy to make, for your body to make stomach acid. So it's asking a lot of it energetically to make stomach acid. So over time, with age, stomach acid levels tend to drop. This is why we often see constipation and B12 deficiency, osteoporosis and things like that in older people, because they're not absorbing their nutrition very well. So there's some products that I really like to use to support stomach acid and digestion. This one's one of my favorites. It's called hypozymase. It's a combination of stomach acid and enzymes. I really love this product. Probably the one I use second most is this Robenzyme, which also has B vitamins added, because so many people become deficient in B vitamins after long-term either use of acid blocking drugs or insufficient absorption of nutrients. And then Digestzymes, this is another go-to with stomach acid support in there. So kind of just to wrap it all together, just remember that most people don't make too much stomach acid. That's actually exceptionally rare. The vast majority, I would say over 90% of my heartburn clients have gotten results from the abdominal chiropractic adjustment to the stomach with some support for the stomach and digestion. So sometimes we repair the stomach first, sometimes and then we bring in, we'll bring in the digestive enzymes. And sometimes we have to do a little bit more repair to the gut, but in general. But just remember that nobody in their 70s is making too much stomach acid. So if you got someone in your family that has been taking acid blocking drugs for decades and they're in their 70s, man, they probably have some serious malnutrition at this point. I'm Dr. Patty Barch. I hope you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and like it, comment, ask any questions, and have a healthy day. Thanks.